Hello everyone. Today I will be going over all the softwares we used in my HORT 120 class for the final reflection of the semester. So during this course we went through many different landscape industry specific and non-landscape industry specific softwares. We started with AutoCAD, a non-industry specific software, moved to Dynascape, Real-Time Landscape Architect, VIP 3D, and then SketchUp. This course helped us learn about the ups and downs to all these different softwares and what each of them is good for. This course used methodology known as intuitive adaptation to teach us how to use these different softwares. While we used AutoCAD, Dynascape, and Real-Time Landscape Architect, we continued to draw the same design so that we were able to focus on the different tools we were using rather than learning a new design each time. You can see from the three images on the slide that each of these softwares has their differences. Dynascape is similar to AutoCAD but is landscape specific, so it has plant databases that you can use, plant images you can insert, and Real-Time Landscape Architect has a 3D option, which is obviously very different. So because we were using the same drawing, we were able to learn how to use the different tools more efficiently. While we were using those three softwares I mentioned in the last slide, we had a template image we named the master garden plan to copy our design and translate into the digital world. We wanted to scale the drawing in a one-to-one ratio with the real world. To do this, we used measurements from the site to scale it, such as the 3-foot door. This allowed us to have a site and drawing that we were able to use measurements on and compare them. One of the differences between the softwares were what kind of tools they had. Some of the softwares had shape-specific tools such as AutoCAD, Dynascape, and SketchUp, while others had object-specific tools such as Real-Time Landscape Architect and VIP 3D. The shape-specific tools included things like the line, the polyline, an arc, a circle, and a rectangle. However, the object-specific tools included house tools, hardscape tools, region tools, and plant tools. The image on the bottom shows some of the house tools in Real-Time Landscape Architect, which include house, door, window, house light. Both of these types of tools have their own benefits. The shape-specific tools might be easier to read if you are using the drawing to actually build the design, while object-specific tools might be more visually attractive since they have realistic textures attached to them. Drawing management was a very important part of the design process. However, every software had a different way of doing it. Some of the softwares had layers that you would create by yourself. So you would, for example, if you wanted to have a plant layer, you would, create the layer and then click on it and then draw your plants. However, some of them had object-specific grouping. Some of these different groups could include houses, hardscape, and plants. For example, in VIP 3D, the hardscape included all the patios and all the decks. So as you would build these things, they would automatically get placed into these separate groups. The landscape industry specific softwares seem to have the object specific grouping more often than the non-industry specific grouping. I find this convenient as it saves time. Pre-made objects were a big part of the landscape industry specific softwares we used. So, Real-Time Landscape Architect had a long list of site amenities that were available to be used. There's some of them are shown in the bottom left-hand corner. They had all kinds of tables, chairs. That car is also from Real-Time Landscape Architect. And one of the good parts about them is that you're able to customize them. So you can change the color or the material. Using non-landscape industry specific software, we were able to create things like the railing seen in the bottom right. This is very useful because we can create blocks that are specific to the exact code that we want to be. For example, this railing needed to have rungs that were exactly 4 inches apart, so we were able to customize that in SketchUp. Along with the pre-made layers and objects, landscape industry specific also had other features. One of the big ones is the plant features that it has. For example, Dynascape and the other ones all had numerous plant and tree options that you could use, whether they're 2D or 3D. Um, The softwares also had plant schedules that would come in automatically at the click of a few buttons, which is useful. And then VIP 3D also had this material catalog that had, I want to say hundreds of different options for materials that you can use, all relevant to the landscape industry. To conclude, I'll say that I learned a ton in this class about all the different options for softwares that us landscapers can use. I learned while comparing the softwares that a higher price definitely means there's going to be more options for the software and then it's going to be more versatile. For example, VIP 3D was more expensive than real time, but it's just more versatile, has more options. Um, and I also learned that you have to decide whether to use landscape industry specific or non specific based off what you're trying to accomplish. If you're trying to make a design that looks beautiful to show a client, you might want to use real time, but if you're trying to make a construction document, AutoCAD might be the right choice for you. Thanks everybody for watching.